yet, but
no, but we're going to be any second.
we
Now
will be
we
live
are.
in any
That's
second now.
it.
Oh my God, we're live now. It's so
Shockingly
stupid.
enough,
I
we're
pretend
live.
like it. I always. Anyway, hey everybody. Hi everybody. This is the Tellman and Fellman Show, episode 38. We have Patric Chan on today. My name's Harris Fellman, and over to the other side of the screen.
I'm Tellman Knudsen. Welcome to episode 38. I have one of my oldest internet marketing friends on here today, and Patric Chan. We have some funny stories to tell. I actually interviewed you maybe a year or so ago in a similar format, and so it'll be good. It'll be good to jump in and get an update and find out what you're working on now and where things have
Yes,
changed, shifted.
when Tellman says oldest internet marketing friends, he's actually being literal. Patric is 97 years old, but Asians don't age at all. So anyway, let me read the intro really quick. Patric Chan is and both Tellman and I'll tell you in a second what we were disappointed in just a second. Patric Chan is an internet marketing a pioneer and a best-selling author of 3 books, including co-author of Clicking Cash with Robert G. Allen, which many of you have heard of. He has also spoken in 12 different countries as an authority on internet marketing and building digital businesses in the United States, China, UK, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, Thailand, and many others. Or maybe one other, I don't know. It just says and others. He also has been awarded the ClickBank Platinum Award for 7 years in a row. Wow, ClickBank is still popping for Patric Chan, and arguably, or maybe this was when this was written, we'll find out in a second, and only one of the only few internet marketers who is well versed with Web3 as a content creator. Today, he's the creator of Operation Zero Employees AI, which you can see down there. I'm going to talk to you about that during the show. I'm excited to hear about what that is. This is a system that Patric uses to build a 7-figure digital business while working only 2 hours a day and without any employees. His latest project, I like Patric already. His latest project includes Compose Chapter, which is the world's first AI book writer that writes chapter by chapter, allowing anyone to write a book in a day for any topic. Let me tell you what Tellman and I were disappointed in. This intro does not say, "You can do it." We both remember "You can do it" so well, but welcome to the Tellman and Fellman Show, Patric. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And I'm going to say this, you can do it.
You can do it. That's what. So I mean, that's definitely your best titled product ever. I really think you should bring it back.
Did I help you come up with that? Was that on an interview with me that we kind of kiddingly talked about it and then you ran with it, or no? That's my memory. My memory of it is I helped you name that.
We do have some discussion about that. The name was coined by a pretty, I wouldn't use the word old. I mean, we are all old as in we start really early, but it was Stephen Pierce who helped me with the brand at that time. So we were on a tour speaking in seminars in different countries and so on. And then I was with him touring the whole speaking gig, and we were having some holiday. And then he looked at me and then he says, "You can do it. You can do it." There's this really deep voice, "You can do it." And his authority tone and all this kind of stuff. And I was so young, I was so small, and I was thinking, "Oh, what did you say?" And then he slowly explains to me, "Oh, you know it," and that's how it all got started. And Harris, your memory serves you precisely as what you're coming with, because we promoted "You Can Do It" that time when you were doing Catalyst. That's a
codename Catalyst. Which is what, which is basically what I taught. I taught how to do the virtual summit model. That was the first time I taught it. Tellman and I are actually getting together and doing that now. So on Codename Catalyst, I interviewed you.
I think we did that. And that's where we have Grand Slam of promotions for the Chengdu Internet Success System.
Nice.
And that's where you can do it. That's why it sounds familiar at that time, because we did a lot of promotions for the Chengdu Internet Success System back then.
Well, Patrick, I'm going to try to give you a new title because I think Operation Zero Employees AI is a little too long. I'm going to put it here in the chat really quick. I think it should be AI can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. That's so cool. That's so cool.
AI can do it.
Yeah. That's
funny.
one time I wanted to revive it and bring back like you can do it 2.0. And it just didn't happen. Yeah,
Same with
but
Sal, like Sal the Site Stealer. I keep threatening. Oh, I mean, he's appeared on this show actually once, but to bring him back and put him in a product, I haven't been able to really quite do that yet. So you mentioned Stephen Pierce that used to run with him at conferences. We had somebody on earlier in the year. We've been doing this 2 months, so a month ago.
Earlier in the year, Harris.
I think Tom Beal talked about this on his origin story, that he was at a Stephen Pierce event, the first event that he went to, and was really introduced to the whole internet marketing thing in January 2005. So where do you start? Where do you start, and how did you meet? Let's just, you've mentioned Stephen Pierce. Someone else mentioned Stephen. So how influential was him for you, and how did you end up doing speaking so quickly and all of that?
right. So I'm going to meet the point where I get to know Stephen Pierce. So I started doing internet marketing, building online businesses somewhere in 2003. And it took me about 8 gruesome months to make my first sale. And I'm going to share the whole sad story and all this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna move forward to the speaking stuff. And then by 2004, I started doing mini workshops. And
Doing what?
Mini workshops, like small
Mini workshops.
Yeah, mini workshops.
In person.
In person, right? I was a young kid then, somewhere in my early 20s. And then they were looking for speakers to speak in Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, and Singapore. And my name pops up, right? Because during that time, there are rarely anyone in this region who are successfully generating income from the internet and so on.
Tell the audience where you are.
I'm from Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay.
Yes, right. And it happens that in the tour, right, and we did with World Internet Summit that time.
World Internet Summit. Oh yeah,
Summit, right? Quite a familiar name during those days. And Stephen Pierce was one of the speakers. So I get to know him quite well, and we become friends. I would even consider him as my mentor. I've learned so much from him, how he presents, how he thinks, and so on. And that's how we got started with our friendship, and we continue from there because years later on, he starts to do a lot of tour in this region, as in that he's doing seminars in Malaysia and Singapore.
So everything was in English, right? In Malaysia and Singapore, all of these things. I mean, obviously, Stephen Pierce doesn't speak Malay or any other language there. So, but does everybody pretty much live in English? So in Europe, everybody they live in their own language, but they also, most countries other than Spain, where I lived, most countries, speak a lot of English. So is it like that in Malaysia, or is it more like?
It was like that even 20 years ago. But the other interesting aspect is that we also do tours and speak in India, Indonesia. Now, for those countries, then we may need a translator because those countries, I couldn't remember whether we need translator or not in India, but I could remember with China, with Indonesia, we do need translator.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
how was that? I'm just curious. I've never had to really do that. So you say a couple of minutes and then you wait until it's translated. I've been on the other end of translate. So a little humble brag. I've been on television a bit. I was on Spain's Got Talent, and I had a translator in my ear, and she was actually quite slow, and so I just looked like an idiot going like this. But when I did it in Romania, it was like they were like on top of it, like I was there, like I was like it was like a Star Trek. You know, it didn't like
Yeah.
somebody was in my ear talking, and it was almost at the same pace as the person on stage.
So
But
it wasn't that advanced. It's like after you finish a sentence or two, you look at your translator, and your translator will start to translate. So it's like, it's like play by the ear sort of feelings. It's like we are communicating with the translator with our eyes. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's time for you to translate now.
Yeah.
And then they will just go with it. So I have different experience, but those are the early days. But later on, say 10 years after that, in between 2010 to 2015, I was speaking in China. But at that time, I am more composed and I know how to speak better and so on. And the stage is a bit different where I would know how to present in a much better way and know how to coordinate with the translator. Because the translator in China, they are professionals in comparison to the translator we have 20 years ago. Because when we first started, the translators are like one of the students. It's like one of the crew.
Right.
So
Right.
they're
Right.
not really translator in that sense. Or
And
they
then
could
you
be.
say you got better at speaking. Was part of that also getting better at selling from stage? Do you feel?
Yeah. So it's a overall thing. It's a whole package. So many people feels that closing is one thing, presenting is one thing, but a polished presenter, as in a platform speaker, combines both of this together. So it's a mixture of the art and the science. Like I know that you're very good with presentation. You are on the talent show and so on. So you know that it requires two sets that you are able to perform, to entertain or to educate. But at the same time, you need to have that kind of engagement for them to take action.
So yeah, I found when I attempted platform speaking, I wasn't great at it. I'm a natural entertainer, so that's where my attention was, and getting the feedback and engagement from the audience for me is that they get information, sure, that they laugh, that they're, if I do magic now, if that they're amazed, but then I never really got good at like turning that into, back of the room sales or whatever. And part of that was I think I had good content to deliver, but then I was like, oh, I have to sell something, so let me make something up. Let me make something up that's $3,000 and see how that does. So then I think even funny, we've mentioned Matt Basak probably on almost every episode, but I think Matt told me that like when I was speaking on his stage once that like I kind of backpedaled a little bit as I was selling. Like I
It's
visually
so easy to do. Like
I visually backed up as I was selling, which is like showing a lack of confidence because I wasn't confident in the thing that I was selling. So I remember that. I think it was Robert Allen too. I introduced him once and I left the stage and he was walking from the back. So I said, oh, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Allen. And he slowly walked up to the stage and I was gone. And he talked to me afterwards and he was like, you gotta make sure you, just a little tip for you. You gotta wait until the person comes on stage before you leave the stage, buddy. He didn't say buddy, but and then he punched me in the face. Strong guy for 70 years.
Really? And speaking of Robert Allen, so I know Robert Allen pretty well in the sense that we have co-authored a book together. So this is Kicking Cash. Robert Allen.
So this is just you and Robert. Well, I was thinking it was you. I thought maybe it was. Didn't Robert Allen do something where he like co-authored with a bunch of people at once?
Yeah, that was very popular for a while. A lot of the big authors did that for a while.
But this is just you and Robert, yeah?
This is just me with Robert. This is a real co-author book.
Or is it you and Robert, or is it Robert and you? I mean, if it's Clicking Cash, it sounds like it's you and you let Robert get on it with you just to help him out a little bit.
Well, I put Robert Allen's name first there.
I see. Right. Fair enough.
Right.
Smart.
So we co-authored this book. It's the best-selling book we just promote this in this region. So the reason why I brought up Robert Allen is because I want to say my gratitude towards him, where I've learned so many strategies and success formulas from him just by being with him. And we are speaking about platform speaking, platform closing, and all that kind of stuff. And Robert Allen impressed me on how he do his closing. So we were doing seminars together. So one of the things that we partnered with during those time was doing seminars in Malaysia and Singapore. And we have closing, like high ticket closing and so on. And just looking at how Robert Allen performs or apply his skill, his art, wow, it was impressive.
Yeah. Tellman
Yeah.
just sent me an old I think Robert Proctor wasn't it some Proctor Tellman, who
Bob
was it?
Proctor.
Yeah, right. And an old video of his, and man, these like it was like a it was, you know, a motivational speech that people had paid for, but I mean, it looked like he was in church. Like it was like, now I'm going to tell you all that, you know, it was a little bit lower than that, but you know, that was I mean, I'm sure Tony Robbins is, you know, depending on the year, is similar to that. Those, I guess,
Well, it
those.
also depends on where you come from, Harris. Like what your background is and what your vibe. You know, like who knows? You know what everyone's origin story is. But yeah, I mean, when I was young, it's funny. You know, we were talking about this before around public speaking. When I was young, yeah, I grew up going to Sunday school, and I gave a bunch of sermons when I was in church when I was in junior high. You know, so I kind of like had to face my fear of public speaking when I was very young, and I got very embarrassed. Like it was terrible. Like I was not at all good at it. And then I stopped going to church, and I immediately became a singer in a heavy metal band. And,
Oh, wow.
And that was another version. You know, it's the same thing. And so I didn't realize I don't actually like being on physical stages that much, but I will tell you, like. I bought from stage. I went to a conference and I bought John Childers Chunks. I spent like $2,000 on his home study course to learn how to speak from stage. And then I also went and I spent $5-10 grand or something like that, maybe more, to go and learn Dave Van Hoos's public speaking system. I went down to Florida and spent you know a few days with him and his younger business partner at the time. I'm spacing on his name, and I learned their entire sales process and structure, and we built my slideshow, and I created the Wealth Method, which is a money mindset hypnosis program, and I sold that from stage for a while. But
who did you sell that on stage to? Like just general audiences or at marketing events?
Marketing events. It was the Wealth Method was a $5,000. It still exists. I still sell it. It's $5,000 money mindset hypnosis training specifically to get you thinking like an entrepreneur. So it's the 21 habits of the world's wealthiest entrepreneurs is the idea. And so it has 21 hypnosis sessions, right?
Okay, so let's switch back to Patrick. So you were saying, is that okay? So
totally.
Patrick, you were saying that you remember learning a lot from Robert Allen, and then Tellman. I went on a tangent, and Tellman and I went on another tangent. But since the subject seems to be right now selling from stage, let's give the audience like something useful if they're ever like selling from stage, other than don't backpedal when you're trying to sell. What's something that like maybe you learned from your own, or maybe you learned from Robert Allen or whatever that like, and is this something that's still important today? Like, does this apply to selling on a webinar? Is it the same? Like, all that.
So I have a formula on how to present and sell. And I will be happy to share with the audience today. It's pretty simple. But before that, I do want to acknowledge what you have shared earlier, Harris, about you being a content provider and you're so-called not good at selling and so on, right? So of course, those skills can be improved and you can close better, have higher sales conversion. But in fact, you have a better position of closing in comparison to the polished speakers who close from stage, because closing, it is not the ultimate game. A lot of people think that, hey, you know, this is my conversion, I'm good at closing and so on. Closing is simple. As in, like, if you go on stage and you just yap, and at the end you say, hey, join my crypto program, and if you give me $1,000, you earn $10,000 guaranteed. You know, people will be flocking and giving you the money. But that's not going to happen, because that is closing. That is a hyping it up, and people will just sign up, because in the room, the fact is, generally, there will be people who are more attracted to this up than putting in the effort. What I'm trying to say is that, right, many people can close well, but are they able to fulfill it? And also, are they delivering the right message to the audience, making them aware of what they are actually buying? Because once they sign up, they go back home and then they regret it. This is not for me. That's where the big mess comes in, right? So I think that being someone who give real content, it is far more better than someone who can close very well. Because if you can deliver good content, and then let's say your conversion is just normal, but you get to keep the customers and you get to build your brand, well, that's a plus point compared to someone who comes in and hype it up, get lots of sales, and then there's just so many people calling him a scammer on the internet. So I just want to set the record right?
Okay.
Because you're right. So, I'll share the formula now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the formula that I teach all my coaching students on how to present and close is called action. So action is acronym ACTION. So the A stands for acknowledge. Now, you will see speakers likes to go on stage and hype things up and say, who wants to make money? You know, all this kind of stuff. Or sometimes they go up there and say how successful they are and so on. But my style starts with A, acknowledgement, which means that have you gotten the acknowledgement from the audience to present what you want to present? So that's the most important aspect of all. If you haven't been accepted, A can also the acronym A can also be used as acceptance. If you are not being accepted on the stage, no matter how good you are, no matter how well your grammar is, how influencing you are, the audience are just going to be like this. They're not going to like you. So if I speak in United States, then I must find a different way to be acknowledged in comparison to when I speak in Cambodia, because the audience are different, the culture is different. If I speak in Spain, I'll need to find a different formula to get acknowledgement from the crowd. So then there are all these tactical steps like Tudor chunks from John Tudor's. Those are all tactical steps that you can apply for your strategic reason. So after A, it's C, stands for credibility. Now, you also see speakers going on stage and brag about how successful they are on the awards and so on. Now, that's normal because many people are attracted to the Lamborghinis and the big houses and so on. But the credibility here, if you are a seasoned platform speaker, you are playing a different level, you're not there to brag about yourself. The only reason you share about your credibility is for the benefits of them, where they can feel confidence and have the trust in what you're going to deliver. The credibility is so that for them to feel safe that your content is accurate. Your credibility, it is not to brag how good you are.
Right.
So that's the right. So it's a different strategy. So by understanding that, you have a different tactical approach on how you share your credibility instead of bragging. So AC, and then we have T, right? T stands for teach. This is the part where you teach your content. So whatever you have to teach, this is the part where you will teach. Now, when it comes to teach, the simplest formula to go with is 3x3. So you have 3 key points where it has 3 key points. That's the simplest model. Of course, this can be expanded into 5x3 and so on. So what do I mean by 3x3? So let's say if I go on stage to teach about the zero employees model. So Operation Zero Employees is based on 3 key components. The first one is operation, the second is automation, and the third one is campaign. So that's 3. So under
What was the third one in that case?
campaign,
Campaign.
right? So the way now I am off tangent a bit. So the campaign here would means that instead of focusing on how to get traffic, we build campaigns to promote an offer. And then we'll have different system for evergreen traffic. So that is Operation Zero Employees. So I'm going to bring back to the speaking stuff. Okay, all right. We can talk about zero employees if you want to.
Yeah, I want to talk about zero employees more than I want to talk about the speaking stuff. But let's go ahead and get through ION.
Right, and then ION, and I stands for ignite. So in that presentation, after you teach, you need to ignite their desire, wanting to achieve the goal. And once you have done ignite, then only you can ask for order, which is O. O is for orders. So that's where your call to action comes in. And after that, we have N. N will stands for next. It means that after you ask for orders, what will be the next step? Or N can also stands for no. It means that nobody wants to buy when you ask for the order. What should you do after that?
Wait, what was O?
O is for order.
Order.
Like ask for the order.
Yeah, ask for the order, and then no is when you get more O objections, and then you have to overcome.
Yes, precisely. That's
but then it would be action. So cool. Well, that was interesting. So you mentioned, and Tellman, you can pipe in anytime that you want.
Well, thank you, Harris. I do appreciate that very much.
Good. I don't want Tellman to say, why didn't you ask this question? Don't worry, Tellman is not shy. So you did mention, Operation Zero Employees. So let's fast forward a little bit. So from 2000, so that was 2010 to 2015, and then 2000. What happened with you? What did you do during the pandemic? Because you were not able to do platform speaking. So that there must have been a shift for you, or had you already started not speaking as much? Do you have a child? I know you got married recently.
Many years ago, in fact.
My recently means in the last, like you weren't married when I met you 20 years ago.
Yes, right. I get it.
10 years. Have you been married 10 years?
More than that, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so old.
All right. Okay. So I have 3 kids right now. So
3.
Yeah. So 3.
How old?
So that's. Let me count the numbers again. 10. Wait a second. No, it's not 10. It's 11.
You can do it. You can do it.
No, because I am. I mean, sometimes you get into this stupid state.
Oh, I know.
Remember when you're live on stage, right? So I think it's 10, 13, and 15.
Cool. My daughter's 13. My son's 18.
Wow,
that's cool.
I do remember Touch, right? Your kid's name Touch.
Torger.
Torger.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Spear of Thor is the
direct
translation.
I met your kid in Malaysia when you were visiting here that time. Remember that?
Yeah. It was crazy when we went down to visit Vishen in Malaysia, and he split his head open, and we had to go to the hospital. There was blood everywhere. It was very scary.
Did you have a snake around your neck, Tellman?
Twice. I had one real snake and one fake snake.
I put pictures up on our new. We have a automatic audience is what Tellman and I are working on together, which teaches virtual summit series, and he's got snakes on his shoulders. But anyway, so that must have been when he saw you in person. That's cool, man. You got to travel with Torger. That's amazing. So yeah, Patrick, let's jump in. Let's go ahead and how did you get into how and when? Oh no, I guess you didn't finish answering.
Okay. All right. So let me just sort of rewind a bit of the timeline, and I'll speak relatively fast. All right, so that we have more time on Zero Employees blueprint if we want to discuss about that. So after that, I started doing speaking, travel all around the world to do a lot of speaking gigs and so on. And then after a while, I sort of say, you know what, I don't really want to do that anymore. And I started doing my own events. So I have my own seminars then. So instead of me traveling overseas to speak on other stages, I have my own seminars. So we were doing that, and all is good. And in 2015, okay, a few years before that, we started with ClickBank, and we did well with ClickBank. So I decided, after doing all this seminar stuff, I said, hey, you know what? I just want to do more on the online stuff, right? So then we get into ClickBank, and then we focus on ClickBank. And then in the first year, we achieved the Platinum Award, whatever they called it that time. I think they still call it the same. So so we started achieving that, and then we've been focusing on ClickBank, and every year we've been getting the ClickBank Platinum status. And we're making pretty good money. But by 2015, I am sort of burnt out. Because when I first started, when I decided to do this whole internet marketing stuff, is because I wanted to earn some money and have this internet lifestyle.
Right.
But by 2015, I think Tellman can share this sentiment, because I believe he has gone through this roller coaster ride with all the employees and so on. So by 2015, and one day when I go to the office, it was like 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and I do not know why, but that day I started to see all the cubicles in the office. It wasn't there. It was there, but
Your
they were-
office.
yeah, the cubicles with people sitting there and working. I mean, the cubicles were always there, but I did not notice them
Right.
because I was just busy working every day.
Yeah.
And then when
How many people were working in the office?
it's not many, maybe about like, it has been about almost 10 years ago. I would say a ballpark number would be about maybe 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was there early, and yet the staff there, or my team, my employees, started asking me to make decisions, questions after questions after questions, because this whole internet marketing business, they don't really understand how to do it.
Right.
So they have a lot of questions, right? Like, what do you think about this e-cover design and so on? And I says that, this is not what I want. I mean, this is like, it's stressful. Like, why do I need to be in the office earlier than everyone else? Because I'm trying to set the right role model. The whole employer
Right.
sort of stuff. So that's how Zero Employees was born, because I'm a student of Tony Robbins. And
So you fired everybody that day?
I didn't do that, right? I have a different plan. So I asked myself this question: how do I make more money but scale smaller? So the usual question is that, if I want to make more money, I need to scale bigger, more employees, and all this kind of stuff, more ads and so on. So it's just going back, revisiting what I've learned from Tony Robbins, like ask powerful question. And long story short, within 60 days, not overnight, Harris, 60 days, I managed to let go everyone, change the entire model, and those who have talents, I keep them, and I devise an entire different arrangement with them. So the concept of Zero Employees means that I don't have employees, but I still have a team with fixed salary that I pay. Means that there's still fixed fee that I'm paying, so that they can help me to do work. But the arrangement is completely different, because it is not operating like a conventional company anymore. For instance, in the past, I would need to deal with sick leaves, HR, accounting, and all of those. But today, with my model, I no longer work that way.
They're all like in the US, they would be independent contractors and not employees, where you don't have to have all the benefits, that you don't have to take care of all the benefits.
Yes, similar to that, but this is even, I wouldn't use the word better, it depends on how you look at it. It's like we are in a different relationship for business, where my team are operating their own business.
Right.
So they are not, I would say, tied to me. And this means that they can do other stuff. But at the same time, they have a safe net where they'll have salary every month. And there's a different kind of plan arrangement that we do. And this is how we maintain a good team. on a side note, for solopreneurs, or should I say small businesses, right? Most of the time, the boss is the boss. Let me put it this way. The CEO is the boss. The boss is the CEO most of the time, right? And which means that when small businesses boss go into the office, they will see how the employees are doing the work. And the fact is that most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they're not satisfied with the work. I mean, just putting things into
It's usually the way it works. Yeah, unless
Yeah.
you're a very, very experienced boss that can pull their head out of their butt before they walk into the office and focus on what's going well and appreciation and the relationship that they have with their team. And most of us, especially the first time through, do not have that training and do not have that experience. So of course you want everybody to do better.
Yes.
So you're going to point out all the flaws and everything that isn't being done right. Works the same way with kids, right?
Yeah, and it's also because the boss is the one who is paying the salary. I'm saying what I'm trying to say is that the CEO doesn't pay his own salary to the employees. The CEO takes salary from the company, and the companies that pays the checks. But the problem, not really a problem, but the relationship is the boss is the boss. So the way to solve this, which I figured out, is don't look at how they are doing the work. So with Operation Zero employees, I've changed the entire business model where I no longer see what they are doing. And that has helped me to gain back my freedom.
Right. No more micromanaging.
No more. Yes, precisely.
Right.
So we have a system on how to manage KPI. We're just looking at results, right? So it is not a freelance model because they are still our quote unquote employees, but they are not employees.
Right.
They're not employees in the normal micromanaged sense where they have to account for every moment. I think there's quite a few people that I talk to that I mean, I presume that that's how they run their business. I had,
right.
Yeah, I had before I even got into IM. So 2000 to, well, it was an email marketing company. I had like 15 employees and I didn't know what half of them even did. I think one of the things you have to learn to let go of as a solopreneur or a small business owner is a couple things. One, you're like, I can do that better, maybe, but you don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you probably can do it better, but then to your point, your way is the best way. Like that is like, oh, come on,
absolute foolishness, right?
Yeah.
So here's the key, right? When you're building your team, and this is whether you're talking about like strategic partners or joint venture partners or even co-authors or collaborators, if you're creating something together, like Harris and I are creating the show together, we're doing a launch together, or whether you're talking about your contractors, your employees, most people have a tendency to hire people that are not as capable, not as intelligent, and not as experienced as they are for two reasons. One is they're the boss. Why would someone that's smarter and more educated, more experienced work for me? I'm in charge. Why would somebody that's better than me work for me? That doesn't make sense. So that's a false assumption. And the second reason is because people are hiring people and they don't want to pay them very much. They're cheap. And so the problem is you hire a bunch of idiots that can't do a good job, and then you get mad at them. And then you tell them to do it your way and they can't keep up because they don't have your knowledge and experience. So the key is hire people that are better than you from the start, that inspire you and impress you with their work, rather than hiring people that cannot do it almost as good as you. Because if you hire people that are better than you, it's great. It's very exciting, But what you'll find is that, like, if you're hiring someone who's better and more skilled and more experienced, they very often haven't done the work to become a great leader or aren't in the position to want to start their own business or something. And that's why they're looking for a team to join, right? So it's a really interesting thing about hiring great people. And I really like your idea, Patrick, about, not looking how they do the work, just, do they get it done? Is it good? Do they get it done on time? And you don't necessarily need to know all the details. That's cool.
So far where we're at with the story is at some point you had an awakening. You were like, what am I doing with all these people? You unplugged from the matrix and you said, I don't need all these people. A couple months later, you restructured and you also restructured yourself. A lot of, business owner personal development, if you will, that made you change to, do what you want rather than what all the old books were telling you maybe or whatever. So, but now underneath your name, it says creator of Operation Zero Employees AI. You've only talked about this being for you. You like, and Tellman and I are talking about it being for us. Like, I'm a business owner. I like minimal employees and I don't want to micromanage. But what is it as, what is Operation Zero Employees other than your own personal, stake in the ground saying, what am I doing?
Oh, all right. So after I've accomplished that, and then I realized that a few other marketers who are successful making money and so on, they are also experiencing the same problem.
Yeah.
So I did my first class, a small class where I invite them to come to my house, and I did this training, and I started teaching them this model, and I think that they love it. And their model starts to change. They are happier. Some were able to generate even more income and so on. Now,
Well, which model are you talking about changing? Like, when you say changing the model, other than just so when you asked yourself the question of what can I do to scale smaller or still make the same or more money, you're talking about changing.
Oh, right. Sorry,
the
I know
business
where you're
model
coming
as
from.
well.
Right. So remember earlier I mentioned zero employees consists of three components. So the first component is operation. So at the macro picture, the big broad picture, operation is how you operate your team. So we sort of briefly covers some of those, right? But that itself doesn't generate income or give you the lifestyle that you want. Then the second part is how to automate things as humanly as possible, because not everything can be automated. So when it comes to marketing, certain aspect of marketing needs to be automated, such as emails, traffic, and all those kind of stuff. But also, what are the little things in our life that should be automated? For instance, I know this doesn't fall to everyone, but if you ask people, right, and you ask them, so do you make payments for your credit cards every month, right? And most people will say, yes, I do. But why aren't you automating that process? Like, you can just enable so that it deducts from your bank account. Why would you trouble to do that? Same things with many things in life, especially bills that can be fully automated. So what I'm trying to say here is that once you have your operation handled, then the next part is how to automate anything that can be automated, which means business, marketing, and also your personal life, so that we can do other stuff.
Yeah.
But the most important aspect is the concept of campaign. So when we look at the conversation that happens in our space, most of the time people are talking about getting traffic. But the fact is that traffic it's a necessity. Traffic should fall under automation, falls under component number 2. It means that every day we have to do something for traffic. Like, this is a form of traffic. Like, for instance, to me, this is a form of traffic.
Totally.
Right. So like, if I stream this to my page, is a form of traffic for the show. When I being featured in the show is a form of traffic to me. So all of this, it's a necessity, right? But they don't generate income, leads, or sales as much as we want, in the sense that it's just part of what we do. Campaign is where we make money. So if we have automation and we're building all our traffic, our leads every single day, we will devise a campaign to promote an offer. So when it comes to campaign, you can also call it a product launch. However, it is not really a product launch, because campaign can promote an affiliate offer, can promote an old product, can promote anything.
Yeah.
So in our company, every month, we will have campaigns. We don't launch new products. We launch new campaigns. And these are the campaigns are basically our paydays. The automation is the one that generates our so-called cash flow income for us to survive. I hope
Yeah.
that's all.
So yes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you paused. Go ahead.
So one of the campaign that I teach that time to the marketers who came over to my house is a webinar series. That was like 10 years ago, right? A webinar series. So how do you do a webinar series as a campaign to sell, but at the same time, build your brand? So it's like, webinar 1, webinar 2, webinar 3, and then promotion, those kind of stuff. So if we are able to tactically learn how to do webinars or ads and so on, all of those can be put together into a campaign, and all this campaign can be stacked on, and they can even be repeated every 6 months and so on.
Yes, right. Well, that's exactly what Tellman and I are actually coming together to teach, which is a webinar series. That's the thing that we talked about with Codename Catalyst. We call it a virtual summit or a virtual summit series. Automatic Audience is the brand, the campaign, part of the campaign. One of the campaigns will be, like, using your terminology, one of the campaigns will be an affiliate marketing campaign. We'll get affiliates to promote it. And then another campaign will be, Facebook ads. So we're going to, but those are two totally, different ways of getting traffic. Hopefully, if we're lucky, they'll be able to go to the same, basic sales page without too many changes, but we'll be testing each traffic type on that. So yeah, it's a good, it's a good way of putting it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. OAK, automation, operation automation.
That's right.
Or we need another C. It could be COCA, campaign, operation.
So Patric, like with all this zero employee stuff and the campaigns and the automations, all this stuff, what are you actually selling? Like, are you selling a introductory course? Are you selling like a high-end immersive fly to Malaysia and I'll help you get rid of all your employees? Like what do you actually sell or promote primarily right now?
Right now, right? Okay, so let me sort of break down my so-called sales funnel, right? So, but can I also add why this AI comes into the picture, so
Please.
that everybody can understand where we're coming from? Because
Please.
everybody's been throwing these AI words left, right, center, and everywhere else, right?
Right.
So some people just call AI because that's the whole trend. Now, but the fact is that this year I realized that Operation Zero Employees has been, not something that I like to say, has been a bit outdated, because it cannot catch on with what is happening right now. First, it is too much. I mean, I'll be more than happy to show you the entire course, which we saw in the past, but probably nobody would have the time to go through it entirely. And even if they have gone through it entirely, they wouldn't have time to execute it because it's just too much.
Right.
It's just too much things to learn, right? So I think that in today's time, it's all about speed. And I realized that today I do not need to teach anyone on how to do work anymore. I just need to teach two key things: the strategies and the frameworks. Because I just need to teach them how to use AI to do the work. So this is where the AI comes in. So for instance, right, nowadays I wouldn't teach someone how to write a headline anymore, or how to write a sales letter. I used to do that. In my previous training, I'll teach people how to write the copy for a landing page and so on, right? And I think that could also be the reason why less people are taking action, because it's too much to learn. I mean, let's face the fact. Tellman and Harris here, they are veterans, they are experts. They can write copy with their both eyes shut, and they can just do it, right?
Sure.
But let's take a person who just learning copywriting, and you expect him to write a sales copy that can sell. That's going to be
most people aren't naturally good at it the first time they try. Some people are, but it's very rare. Right?
It's very rare, right?
Yeah.
They may write a copy, but for the copy to sell, that's another skill, right? So I figure out, hey, this is going to be quite challenging. And that's where with Zero Employees AI, it's where I teach them how to use AI to do the work. So now they'll be able to achieve success so much more faster.
Yeah.
And then we have also built an AI writer to write most of the things that needs to be written, which means 90% of the writing work can be handled by our zero employees AI writer right now, from social media to sales copy, to LinkedIn posts, to newsletter, to a book, most of the stuff. So that's where the whole AI comes in.
Yeah, last night I was up too late because at, I don't know, midnight my time, I was talking to Ross, and I told him I was planning on. By the way, I do consulting work for Warrior Plus now, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you know ClickBank really well. And one of my jobs is to do outreach and find potential vendors, people to put their products on. Hey, you want to put your product anyway? I've identified, or we've identified Udemy as potentially a good source of people with products. I go to Udemy, Udemy, they have all those courses there, and they're their own marketplace. They're their own kind of siloed world. And there's a lot of advantages to maybe being also putting your same course that already exists somewhere else, maybe ClickBank, maybe Warrior Plus, whatever. I'm not going to tell them about ClickBank. They couldn't possibly know about that. But anyway, my point is like, I want to get a list of the instructors, and you can go to click there and you could see the instructor name, and you could see their website, or you can see their Facebook page, or whatever it is that they provide. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get a VA to do that. I know somebody, we've been here long enough. We've all got VAs that hit us up every year and say, hey, you got work for me? Like people that we've talked to for the last 15 years. I was like, what's her name? Okay, let me hit her up. So I hit her up, and then I tell Ross Goldberg, hey, I'm going to do this. He goes, you could probably get ChatGPT to write a Python script for you and do that for you, and go to udemy.com/marketing courses and click on instructor and scrape at least the website name and whatever. Anyway, long story short, I spent 2 hours. It was super fun. I got my computer. It has Python on it now, and all the little libraries, and it still didn't work. We couldn't get it. I couldn't get it to work. So the VA is saved, because I don't know how quite yet the right tools to use to have my own script written by ChatGPT. But it wrote something that worked. It's just it probably couldn't get past whatever Udemy didn't want it to get past. And it actually suggested, Udemy has an API. Maybe we could use that. And I'm like, no, I don't think the API. I don't think they want to give me the API to scrape there.
But you could scrape all of that. Again, I'm off tangent, because as we have our conversation, there's so many different insights and ideas that just comes in. I hope you don't mind that I just spin off a bit, following where Fellman is going with here, right? So at first, I don't get into the whole AI stuff because I don't have the confidence in this. It is only when I launched a new brand called the AI App Entrepreneur with my ex-student, who is now my partner, who is the AI expert. So I don't know about the technical stuff, all this kind of stuff. So I don't pretend to be an AI guru. That's just not me. I would be like Harris. I wouldn't know all this Python.
Right.
All of that, right? But my partner would know how to do all of this. So one of the programs that we have is that we teach our clients on how to build their own AI apps or AI tools, and then turn that into SaaS software to scale it into a proper business where it becomes a real software business with exit strategy and so on. Now, I bring this up is because I've seen how outside of ChatGPT, you can use other tools to scrape the entire content and to give you the results that you want. So here's another idea. When you're able to do that, right, you can also turn that into a software and then sell to me, sell to Tellman, or anyone else who needs similar application, but not in the internet marketing space. So we can now go out of that space, and there's just so many different opportunities and verticals in the AI business right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It definitely is. So you know how I can do that, and you're not going to tell me, or you don't you know what tool I can use to have a scraper written, or it's already like
No,
you want to keep someone in the Philippines employed? Is that what's going on here?
I can tell you. However, the challenge is that we wouldn't know how to do it because it still need technical expertise, even though it's a no-code platform. I can just tell you separately after this, but it's still going to be a struggle for that. We still need to have some technical expertise to actually do that. But we do not need to be like a ninja programmer anymore.
Right, gotcha. Yeah,
Right.
I don't have technical expertise when it comes to programming. That's something I never picked up
For
on.
instance, to relate to this, if you go to a website like Hugging Face, so Hugging Face is like a website where all the programmers will put all their toolkits and their prompts and so on. And with that basic toolkits and the prompts and everything, it's like the source code. During our days,
What's the website?
Hugging Face. Let me just
See, it sounds like you're saying Hugging Face, HUGGINGFACE, which I mean, who knows nowadays, Tellman? It could be right,
yes,
but I have
yes,
a feeling.
that's correct.
It is correct.
It's
Hugging
it's
Face.
Hugging Face. Hugging
Like
Face.
face hug.
Yeah. So
Okay.
huggingface.co. If you go there, so here's a tip for everybody. So you can go through and browse through all the toolkits there. So we call it the toolkits. It's like the source code. I'm just trying to find a word that can relate.
Library or a source code. Yeah, I think it's they call it a library or a source. It is. It's sort.
They call it
it's a
toolkits.
script. It's a part. Yeah. It's a part of a script that you call upon to do a thing. You know.
Yes. Right. So they are not really prompts. I mean, for our discussion, I'll call them the toolkits. I mean, that's what I understand from my partner.
Toolkit.
So with that toolkits, if you find even a junior programmer and it says, hey, go and take these toolkits and I want to create a text to video tool, right? Then a junior programmer will be able to do that without building everything from scratch. So there's just huge, humongous opportunity in the AI world, or should I say, I wouldn't say the AI world because it's not really for programmers. It's actually for marketers and entrepreneurs who knows how to tap on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had somebody on recently that says, and then maybe a couple people have said it, marketers ruin everything. So like, using AI. So what have you thought about some of this at all? Like a couple things. So you're like, oh no, you don't have to, like, let's just put your feet to the fire a little bit on it. It doesn't matter, whatever your opinion is, it is. But like, oh, you don't really have to learn copywriting. Well, is that a good thing? You know what I mean? Like,
or is that even true? Like, do you not need to learn it, or do you need to learn it anyway? But you can get AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Look,
like,
I'm very AI assisted. I mean, I sometimes I get lazy and I jump in over to AI but then I rewrite it, and I feel like my rewrite of theirs is better. Whereas a new person, they shouldn't rewrite it, but so they need to have a way of making sure that the first, or maybe they have AI. Maybe they have AI rewrite it. Right?
All of us shares the same sentiment about AI, and we're not going to discuss about the broad aspect, like is it gonna take over the world, all this kind of stuff. But like what Tellman shared, like let AI do the heavy lifting, but we're not going to be totally ignorant. Like about 3 days ago, I did a class for my students and showed them how I was able to write a book about trading Pokemon cards to make money for young parents, right? Where I don't know about Pokemon cards. I don't have experience with that, but AI has all of that. So that can be a form of business. As in like, okay, if I can show you how to write a book by using AI about how to trade Pokemon cards for young parents, I'm pretty sure that you can sell that and make some money as a guidebook for 99 cents or $1.99 or something like that, right? So AI can definitely help someone to achieve some side hustle incomes, or maybe even help us to expand our digital business. But it is in no means whatsoever that AI is supposed to do everything on its own. There's no...
this is really important because, growing up, I was a terrible speller. Okay, terrible at spelling.
I'll be right back.
Okay, bye, Harris.
I don't care about
Harris has to go to the bathroom. So I was really bad at spelling, right? And when I got into college was about the time that spell check really started getting good. Okay. I was fortunate that I learned how to type in high school. Most of my fellow students didn't take typing classes, but I liked computers, so I decided to take a typing class, and I learned how to type fast. But I still was terrible at spelling. And what happened was through spell check, I became really good at spelling. Okay, like now I'm pretty good at it. It's still not my number one skill, but I'm way better at spelling because spell check was early AI. Okay.
Right.
And so now, how we were talking about micromanaging and employees and all these types of things. Well, one of the interesting things is that when you are interacting with AI and having AI create something for you, you can tell them all the things that are wrong with it without any repercussions, right? Because the AI generally, at least not yet, doesn't get upset with you, doesn't get its feelings hurt, right? When you tell them that its work isn't good enough, the AI will just do it again. But that doesn't mean, as the person asking the AI to do it, that you shouldn't proofread it and double check it and make sure it's good before that goes out the door. That's the same with employees or team members. And what AI has done for me, it's kind of similar to what spell check did for me, is it's actually helping me to get better at asking for what I want really, really, really clearly in advance. So I don't have to ask for what I want 5 more times for the AI to get it right. And so it's actually training me, I think, to be a better employer and a better team leader, to be more patient with when I'm asking someone to do something, and ask for exactly what I want much more clearly, because AI takes everything so literally and it gives you the instant result. Right.
Well, and like using that Python example too, so last night it was 2 hours, but it rewrote 6 different scripts in 2 hours. That would have taken
days,
weeks.
Right.
A week at least, for a programmer, for me to say, oh no, hey, that's not working, and they'll be okay. I'll talk to you again in 4 hours.
Right.
So like, and I wouldn't, and like I would have given up sooner because I want it now. Like I need that in data today. So it was a last night project.
Right. At the same time, that there's a time frame to get the best out of AI for our business. That's a time frame, right? So when I did my seminar that day, I was asking the audience, okay, so we've been teaching people how to make money from information like past 10 years ago. We wrote this book, Clicking Cash, 10 years ago. We have the international player 10 years ago, and so on, right? So I asked the audience, so with AI right now, would it be easier or harder to make money from content right now? Right. So most of the audience says it will be easier. Then my answer to them is that it's not easier or harder. It's all dependable on timing. If you do it now, then it's going to be easy. If you do it 6 months later on, I wouldn't stick to the same answer anymore, because everyone else would also know how to do it. Because now the general public knows how to use ChatGPT,
Right.
and they can also write their own book in the next 6 months.
Right.
But the other aspect is, why would they want to read a book? Why would they want to read a book how to code Python when ChatGPT can write the Python code for them? You see where I'm coming from? It's very interesting. If you really take some time to ponder on the direction for content creators or those who generate income from content, you need to improvise. And if not, then the business will be obsolete. Because whatever we're teaching right now works right now. And I'm very convinced, very confident to say, hey, if you use my tools, you can make money, right? But I can't say the same thing 6 months down the road.
Yeah. Things are changing faster. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, right. So but 5 years ago, what you were teaching might have lasted 2 years. But you know what? I think we were one.
No, this is important. Well, Harris, you were going to go somewhere before I interrupt. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So Patrick, I remember like back in the day before I did anything online. Somehow you and I met in like a forum or something. I don't remember exactly how you and I met each other. Do you?
Through emails, I guess. That's the only thing. That's not
Yeah,
social
but
media.
how did we get each other's email?
If I remember, you dropped me an email that time, and you were asking me, do I know Dr. Joe Vitale?
Right, and you introduced me to Joe Vitale, right? And
Yeah.
I created Think Like Joe Vitale with him.
Right.
You and I created How to Get Started in Internet Marketing together. And it was that audio course.
I think so. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, totally.
I know you helped me with listcrusade.com,
Yeah.
promoting the Chengdu Internet Success System. Yeah.
So there was lots of cool stuff, but like we're talking about how quickly trends change, and what we're teaching today might change in 6 months, depending on its nature. There are trends and fads, but there are also long-standing principles and laws of marketing that seem to either change much more slowly or never change at all. And so my question for you is, how important is building your list these days, genuinely, to your business? How important is email marketing and building your email list in comparison to how important it used to be? Is that still a primary driver, or is that a constant for you, or has that changed?
There are only two strategies that I teach all my students that they need to focus on. Only two things that they need to focus on. One is build their database, and second is to build their brand. That two are the winners, and you can forget everything else.
And everything else is a strategy or a strategy that might change in between.
Right.
So like that's the business.
That is the business. So let me just make it really, really, really fast, right? Everybody should know Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, right? So Gary V doesn't sell anything until right now. I'll come to that right now. But in the past years, he never sells anything. True? He just give content. If you say he makes money by selling books, no, guys, people don't really make money by selling books. All right. So that's a whole different story. So the only thing he has was his books. So he didn't sell anything, but he's only doing two things. He's building his database every single day. Followers are a form of database. Building database, building his brand. And the first real product that he sells is actually VFriends. Now, I know this because I was in the Web3 space, NFTs, and so on. So for the record, VFriends would have generated about $70 million worth. And he would have made $70 million by selling NFTs then. That was his first product. Now, if you look at it again, how in the world can he get so many people to buy something that people are quite clueless about, right? Two things, because he has massive database, right? Second, because of his brand. There's the trust there, and people are willing to pay one ETH, which is worth about $3,000 for an NFT.
Now, I think of Gary Vee as being very big on social media. When you say build his database, does he also has a way to communicate with people via email and SMS?
Yes, of course. He has omni channels, right? Emails, social media, SMS, podcasts, and everything else. So emails is very critical. I use emails as my main channel of communication, right? As my main database. Other people may use different ones, right? So to answer your question, 100%. Every single of my client that I teach is that, hey, if you want to build a business, just focus on building these two stuff. And this is why many BizOp folks, the quick rich people, they are always going in circles because they're not willing to spend the time to build both of these. Because to build both of these require, a certain level of effort.
Yeah, it's interesting. You made me think of quite a few things. One with VFriends, I don't know if you know, I split up with my wife, and when it was going on, she was like, "Hey, do you know about VFriends?" It turns out her boyfriend was telling her about it. I was like, I'm not investing in that right now through this guy. That you made me think of that. But then talking about brand, I would say a lot of internet marketers don't think about brand. A lot of internet marketers are just, let's do the campaign, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, yeah.
With traffic for me, which I had for over 10 years, I think I focused on the brand, separate from me. I wasn't in it, Harris Fellman, all that much. I was present, but not like, it was more about, this is a good place to get solo ad traffic. And that worked for me until it didn't, because my brand got destroyed earlier this year because we got hacked heavily. And it went away, and people would they'd click through, and it would be like, this site has a phishing page on it, which it did. It wasn't from me. It was from the hackers, so brand is super important. Luckily, I've still got a little bit of, equity in my own personal brand, so I'm able to, still, but I haven't done a great job. So we're way past the hour right now, but I would say we've had a lot of talks about email, but tell us, what do you teach people about building their brand? And then then we'll let you go if you'd like.
All right. So to build a brand, it is mostly focused on delivering content. For instance, what we're doing right now, to me, this is called brand building. I just want to keep simple, short, because we are short of time. That's all we do. So minimize on the selling, focus more on delivering and giving value. So when we are able to achieve that, when we offer something, chances are people are more receptive to wanting to buy. I mean, let's face it, everybody knows that every marketer or every content creators and so on, they have something for sale. There must be something for sale. Otherwise, how could they deliver content for free, right? It's just a matter of whether do you prove yourself worthy to sell your product, to extend an offer, right? And sometimes I do webinars, and even though if I have no sales and so on, it's okay for me because I know I'm building my brand, I'm adding value. They may not buy today, and that's okay. They may consider to buy next month or next year. Most of our customers are with us for years, right? Because we focus on that. So even we do seminars so that we can get our existing customers who buy online to come offline so that they can see us in real person. So that in the future, they are more receptive to buy from us.
Yeah,
right.
That's a really great point. Even calling this out as being brand building, but even, Tellman, we've got automatic audience. That's also, more for you, but still it's us once they get into it. That's brand building for us teaching people how to succeed with virtual summits. Even if we only have, 100 customers that end up in the boot camp and not 1,000, but everybody else that heard about it, they now know, thousands of people will be hearing about it, and they're like, Tellman and Harris are they do that, and which is all really about the brand of list building for Tellman and probably traffic for me. With that's my brand is probably traffic, email marketing, payment processing. I know a ton about it. If anybody knows me, I predate a lot of these online processing formats, Stripe and PayPal. I was in it even before then, so I know a ton about it. But and Tellman is really known as a hypnotist, but also as a master list builder, and which is that's email marketing and traffic together, and with a squeeze page or something. It's going to be X-rated if we're not careful. All right, well that means it's the end of the show when we start when Harris starts getting silly. But anyway, Patric, thank you so much for being here. If either of you want to add anything,
yeah, guys, if you like today's show and you want to check out Patric's stuff, go opt in, put in your name and email address at his squeeze page at zeroemployees.com because he's actively building his list.
Building brand.
Hey, Patric, are you still in touch with Stephen Pierce?
Oh, not really, because something awful happens. I'll talk to you about that.
Okay. Okay, we'd love to have him on the show. That's why I mentioned it, because he's so crucial to some OG stuff. But maybe don't worry about it. Don't worry.
We'll check him later. All right.
That's the only reason I'm asking.
Look at my face. It's not.
Yeah. No, you will not be our connection to get him on the show. That's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this was really awesome. Again, Patric, thank you. Harris, thank you. And all of our raving Tellman and Fellman show fans. It's great seeing you, and we will see you on Monday morning, 9 a.m. Harris.
I don't remember. Wait, it's right here. It's right here. Hold on. It's Willie Crawford. It's Willie Crawford at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Old
right.
man Willie. Let's go. Yes,
Cool.
sir.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Rock and
God.
roll.
Go Willie Crawford.
All right.
Cool.
See you guys. See you guys next week. Have great weekends, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Working hard 24/7 on the internet.